Okay, so now let's start making some more grays. In this section, we are going to make gray, or we're going to start to delve down colors using alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, and cad yellow medium. Now I've already mixed up piles here, and I also did a little test because this I know looks really dark, but I wanted to make sure that it was a really nice purple. So I added a little white to it so you could see what that color actually looks like, and that's such a pretty lavender color. But what I want to show you is what's going to happen when we start to mix these two colors. If I add yellow to this, it's automatically going to lighten it, but I'm going to divide this because I'm going to want to show you two different ways to do this. So I'm going to put that over there, and let's just start adding a little bit of yellow because the opposite of purple is yellow. You can see you get this, this purple has already been dulled down. In fact, I'm going to show you another way that we're going to do this. I want to make a whole string of color just like we did at the beginning. So here's our purple, then we've added a little more yellow, and now it's becoming a little duller. Still nice and dark, but dull. And we could add a little white to this so you can see what this looks like. So let's do that. We're going to add this up here. And we're going to put this right next to it, right there. And you can see that that is a grayed purple. Well, let's start moving this toward a yellowish gray. So I'm going to add a little more of that cad yellow, pull some of that color over, put that over here. And you can see that this is kind of a brownish color, but I can tip the direction of this any way that I want. But let's see what happens when we add some white. It gets lighter like a tan. So I've dulled down this purple and I'm moving toward yellow, a dulled yellow. This is actually starting to look like a yellow ochre. A yellow ochre is an earth color. There's actually a lot of ochres. You can have yellow ochre, you can have red ochre. It's made from, I think Italy is where a lot of the ochres come from. And I can go even more. And just by adding a touch of purple to that, no matter what I do, it will never be as bright as that cad yellow medium by itself. Let me clean my brush, and I'm going to put some cad yellow medium at the bottom just so you can see the difference. See how bright that is? Super bright. So let's add just a touch of this purple here, which is of the same value. We'll mix that together. Put that right next to it. Actually, that's too dark now. One thing you might want to keep in mind is that when you mix two colors together, it will almost certainly darken it because because of the way colors work. It's kind of a complicated reason, but I mean that was a simple reason. But you can see now that we're just moving this all the way down to go from our darkest to our lightest, and we can move that all the way there. Now let's say that I want to turn this into more of a gray color, or more of a different gray than what I have here. Let's say I want this to be a cooler gray. So I'm going to add some of my ultramarine blue into this. And let's add this right here. This is kind of a greenish gray. Now in mixing your colors, if you're getting a lot of muddy color, it's because you're not understanding how your colors interact with each other. And this class teaches you how to completely control your colors. So with this limited palette, this double primary palette, you can move and shift these colors any way you want. So now let's say I want to move that green more to a grayish green, or more to a neutral gray. What's the opposite of green? look at your color wheel, you're going to know that it's red. Now, if I want this to be a cool gray, I'm going to want to pick a red that moves toward the blue, right? Blue is actually my closest color to green. That alizarin crimson is really strong, so I added too much. So I'm going to bring some more of my original mixture over. Add a little more white to that so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to that. And let's put that there. And you can see that we're just starting to shift that value, shift that hue to a more reddish, purplish gray. Okay, let's say I want to make this a different blue. Let's say I'm going to add a little bit of my cerulean to that. What's that going to do? That's going to neutralize this just a little bit because there's red in there, right? And that's going to make this now more of a grayish blue. That cerulean has yellow in it. The opposite of purple is yellow, and therefore that's going to make that gray, it's going to turn this gray into more of this gray because this cerulean has yellow in it. And the opposite of purple, which is where we started, is yellow, right? So if we're going to look at our charts, hang on, let me grab it. So if we're going to look at our charts, I used a blue that was going toward green, right, or yellow, and I used a red that was going toward violet. So they're going to neutralize each other. They're both going away, and it's going to give us that gray color. All right, let's say I want to shift that toward, I don't know, let's say a warm red, reddish gray. So I'll just add a little bit, that was too much, of this Cad Red Light. I'm going to go back and make this more of the gray that it was. And now I can make this more of this kind of a gray. This is going to be really helpful when we start to match colors, which is what we're going to do in our next exercise. So what I want you guys to do at home is take your colors and start making some grays. Remember to look at your chart. Things that are crossed from each other on the color wheel are going to neutralize colors, right? So you want to go across your color wheel so you can see what's happening and how to mix those grays. That will allow you to shift colors any direction that you want. Okay, see you in the next bit.